So first, let's just practice from yesterday. The 0.15 is on the circle with center -1, 2. Write the standard equation of the circle. So of course I'm always going to start with my center. Don't forget you have to switch the signs. So if the x coordinate of the center is -1, I'm going to put +1. And then our y coordinate of the center 2, I'm going to switch it to a minus. We're trying to figure the radius squared. Now, remember, this equation is based off the Pythagorean theorem. If you draw a circle and connect a radius, you can make that right triangle. So side squared equals hypotenuse squared. You could do distance formula between the points, but I know Aiden's going to do that. So I'm just going to plug in 1 for x, 5 for y, and go through and find the radius squared algebraically. So let's put 1 in here for x. And some of you might have just made that a 2 squared already. Let's put 5 in here for y. And figure out our radius squared. So 1 plus 1, 2, 2 squared. 5 minus 2, 3, 3 squared. And do a little mental math. What's 4 plus 9? 13. So I'm just going to go up. I'm going to make my life easy. I'm going to change out this r squared to a 13 and circle it. Nothing too shabby. Okay, write the equation of the circle that, endpoints of the diameter. We don't have center, we don't have radius. We got a whole bunch of nothing. Let's start with center. Remember, center is the point in the middle of the diameter. So what formula are you going to do to find the point in the middle? Midpoint. So add the x's. Let's just do it. What's -2 plus 4?
2.
Over 2. Do the y's. What's 2 plus 2? 4. 4 over 2. 2. Got the center. Now, just like the last one, I'm going to set it up. I'm going to start with the center. X coordinate's 1, so I change it to a minus. Y coordinate 2, change to a minus. And we're going to figure out the r squared. Devin?
-2 plus 4 is not 1, it's 2.
Right, but then you have to divide by 2 because you're averaging. So 2 over 2. All right. Does it matter which of our ordered pairs you plug in? Nope, pick one. What do you want to do? 4, 2. So I'm going to put 4 in for x and 2 in for y. Oh, I like that 2 in for y. Okay, what's 4 minus 1? Squared. I said I like the 2 here because what's 2 minus 2? 0. I'm not writing anything. So our radius squared is 9. So again, I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to take out that and put equals 9. I'm going to erase my equal sign. Got it. Any questions on that? So what we're going to show you today, here's what's new and different. Sometimes the equations they give you, like this red one and the blue one, they are not in that form. They're not x minus 1 squared. They're in a different style. So we're going to show you how to get them in to the correct form. So, so many words. We're going to show you how what's called completing the square today. And like I said, completing the square will come up in every single math class you take from here on out. So sometimes we have to add a term. So I'm going to add a term on here to my expression to complete the square. So I can make it into something like x minus 1 squared or y minus 2 squared. So to complete the square, we're going to cut the value of b in half. We're going to square it. We're going to add it to the end of the expression. So I see you guys filling in the blanks. Good deal. Filling in the blanks. If you're working with an equation, we're going to add it to both sides to make sure it's balanced. It sounds like a crazy process, but it really is simple. You're going to do half of a number and then square it. So if I asked you to do half of 10, what's half of 10? 5. What's 5 squared? That's going to be the calculations you're making today, okay? Now, notice it says half of b. You have to look close at where b is. B is this coefficient on x. So if that was the 10, we would do half of 10, 5 squared, 25. So that is what you're looking at to do your half of the coefficient on x. Are we ready? All right, let's try it. Warming us up here. Find the value, that c, that makes that a perfect square trinomial, then write it. Okay, we'll do it in a minute. First, let's complete our square. So start with b, which I'm looking at the 40. Now, most of you can probably do this in your head or your calculators. I'm going to write it out, of course. So I'm going to start by figuring out what's half of 40. You can do that. What's half of 40? 20. And then I have to square that. Now, you might need your calculator for that piece, because 20 is kind of big. What is 20 squared? 20 squared, 400. Okay, so it says find the value of C that blah, blah, blah. So basically, I'm going to rewrite this, but I'm going to replace the C. Let's not do black. Let's do a different color. I'm going to replace the C with the 400. Now, the reason we did that is for this last piece of the puzzle. Then write the expression is the square of a binomial. So completing the square forces or makes this factorable. What numbers multiply to 400 and add to 40? It's up here. Multiplies to 400, adds to 40, factor it. 20 and 20. 20 times 20 is 400. 20 plus 20 is 40. Now, I'm not going to write x plus 20, x plus 20. Let's be conscientious here. Let's put it squared. So now, of course, you would know that x squared in the center is negative 20 when we get to our circle part, which we're not there yet. We're getting there. That's what we're going to be working on practicing. So same thing. Let's practice. Find the value of C. So I'm looking at the coefficient on B. Now notice, I just circled the 10. I know there's a negative on it. Because I'm going to do half of it and square it. Whenever you square something, it kicks to a positive regardless. So I don't even worry about the sign. I just look at the value. So I'm going to start with, most of you can do this part in your head. I don't expect you to write it on the homework. I'm going to write it for the notes. I'm going to do half of 10, which is 5. And what's 5 squared? 5 squared? Got it. So just like the last one, I'm going to now rewrite this x squared minus 10x. But I'm going to put in 25 for C. And again, the purpose of the green 25 is it factors. What multiplies to 25 adds to negative 10. Negative 5, negative 5. And we're just going to put it as squared. And now you know that x squared in the center would be 5 when we get to the circle part, which we will. Okay, last one. Find the value of C that makes blah, 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 a perfect square trinomial. Be sure to keep the equation balanced. I'm just going to scroll this up a smidge so we're not at the bottom. Yeah. So same thing. I know we have the equation in there. I'm not freaking out about it. I'm looking at the 8 right now. Coefficient on x. Most of you can do this in your head. Half of 8 is 4. And then you're going to square 4. So you get what? 16. Okay, so just to show you, so I'm going to rewrite this just like I've been doing x squared, 8x. I'm going to put the 16 on. Now this one you just have more stuff in it. Watch this. You still have your equal 6. That's a sloppy 6. So it says be sure to keep the equation balanced. So if we were solving this equation, which we will at some point do that, if I add 16 to the left, what do I need to add to the right? 16. Now, it doesn't say to factor it. It doesn't say I have to solve it. It doesn't say you have to do anything else to it. But I'm going to show you. You know I can't help myself. I love math. So this would now factor. What multiplies to 16 and adds to 8? 4 and 4. I heard it. And I'm going to add 6 and 16. And then you could solve it from here. You would get rid of squaring with what cancels squaring? Square root. Not that we're going to get this crazy and do all of this today, but this is what we're leading eventually to solving equations. So just to show you, you got to put your plus or minus on for 2 answers, and I'd subtract 4 off and finish it from there. I care about the green 16 on it today. Okay? But just kind of showing you what we're working our way towards, my friends. Okay, rewrite the equation in standard form using completing the square. Then find the center and radius, and of course your other graph. Okay, here we go. So no quantity squareds, we're making that happen. So the first thing I'm going to do, this equation to me, I look at it, it's in a hot mess. I don't like the order. I don't like x's and y's are like scrambled up and mixed up together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rearrange the terms. I'm going to keep my x squared. I'm going to put the negative 10x next to it. Now I am going to do half of 10 and square that. I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm going to leave some space on purpose for that number. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to leave some room Leave a little blank. I'm going to put the y squared next, the 8y. I'm going to have to complete the square on that. Leave some space. Let's just get 16 out of the way. So first rearrange it. Keep the x's together, then the y's together. Let's start with the 10. So we're going to add a number here. I'm just going to put a blank in so you know I'm adding this. Now we've done it a lot. We should be able to do it in our head. We're going to do half of 10. Half of 10 is? Squared is? So I'm going to add 25. Now if I add 25 on the left, I have to balance and add it on the right. Normally I'd put it next to 16, but I don't want to run into the graph grid, so I just stacked it underneath it. Okay, now we're going to do the same for the y's. I'm going to look at the coefficient on y. Half of 8 is, squared is, and again balance. So all the green numbers I put on. Okay, the purpose is we can factor now. I'm looking at just this x portion. What multiplies to 25 adds to negative 10? You've already done it today. Negative 5, which we're going to write it squared. Then I'm going to factor the y part. What multiplies to 16 adds to 8. 4 and 4. And you may need your calculator. We got to total up all that stuff over there on the side. Well, actually, no, we don't, because what happens to your 16s? Cancel, so we got 25. So now it's just like yesterday. You should be able to look at that and write down the center, the radius, and we'll sketch the picture. What's the center? Good on the sign switch, radius. So that's 25, that's r squared. What would just be r? 5. So the new part today is putting them in the form, which yes, I know is gross and time consuming. Okay, plot it. Let's plot the center, 5, negative 4. 5. And then of course, once from the center, radius, I'm going to go up 5, right 5, down 5, left 5, and let's see how my artistic skills are today. No promises. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's see what happens. Yeah, could be better, could be worse. So like I said, the completing the square part, it comes up in a lot of applications in math. When we do ellipses, I'm doing ellipses today in my honors class. They're kind of like this, but they're elongated, they're ovals. They're going to be doing the same type of process. Circles is where it kicks off. And like I said, I almost always see one of these on standardized testing. All right, let's do another one. So same thing. I don't like the equation. It's in a hot mess, so I'm going to reorder it. I'm going to put the x's together. I'm going to put the 12x next to it. I am going to leave some space, okay, because we're going to add that number. I'll get to that. My y squared. I'm going to put my 4y next to it. I'm going to leave some space, and I'm going to subtract 28 and get to the other side and just out of our way. We don't need it. So we're going to do all of our green numbers now to complete the square. I'm going to start on the x. So I'm looking at the 12, the coefficient on x. Mental math it. What's half of 12? 6. 6 squared, 36. If I put 36 on the left, I put 36 on the right. Now you have to do the same thing for the y's. So again, looking at this coefficient on y, I'm looking at the 4. What's half of 4? 2 squared. And let's balance. So purpose of all the green numbers is it forces these to be factorable. So when I go to factor my x's, what multiplies to 36 and adds to 12? 6 and 6. Then I'm going to do the y's. What multiplies to 4 and adds to negative 4? 2, negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. And we're going to total up all the stuff over there on the right-hand side. 12. Okay. I'm going to write down the center. We'll get the radius. I'm a little worried about this radius here. And then we'll try to draw. Center. Switch the signs, -6, +2. Now, I said I'm a little worried about the radius. Here's why. Is 12 a perfect square? So it's going to give you us a decimal. We're going to have to estimate it, which is going to be really great on my artistic skills. So we're going to square root 12. Punch that in the calculator. Round it. What's the square root of 12 approximately? 3.5. Now, of course that's hard to graph. We're just going to do the best that we can. So I'm going to plot my center first, -6, 2, so left 6, up 2. From that center, I'm going to try to count up 3.5, right 3.5. I don't know, that's about 0.5. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. It's a little tougher when you have the decimals, just do the best you can. What questions can I answer for you before we do the last and final one? Which I think you're already starting. Okay, better catch it up here, get it together. So same deal, I'm going to reorder x squared minus 6x. I'm going to leave room. And I'm going to put the y squared, the 8y, and I'm going to move the 16 to the other side and just get it out of the way. So first get it in the correct order. Now you're ready to do your completing the square. Mental math, we're looking at the 6 here. Half a 6. Don't yell at half a 6.
3
squared. 3 squared is 9. Add it to the other side. Now I'm going to complete the square on 8. What's half of 8? Squared. Any questions on the green numbers? Okay, factor x's. What multiplies to 9 adds to -6? -3, -3. Y's. What multiplies to 16 and adds to 8? 4 and 4. Total it up over there on the right hand side. Oh, nice. The 16s cancel. Yeah, we got 9. And I like 9. Perfect square. It's going to give me a nice radius. I don't have to count any decimals. Super happy. Center. So let's plot that. 3, -4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the radius? 3. Square root of 9, which is 3. And let's just count up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3. There we go. There you go. Any questions on that? Okay, so